Hey everyone! So tonight we are going to be talking to Ben Drummond. And while we're waiting, I'm going to invite him in just in case. Doo-doo-doo. Send request. Oh, I see Ben here. I just sent you a request. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So if it doesn't, then you can always request to be in the live. Hey, it worked the first time. uh, you know, I can't hear you for some reason. Why can't I hear you? Can you hear me? I can't hear you. Um, this is. Oh, we lost Ben. Can everybody hear me? Hey guys, can you let me know if you can hear me? And could anyone hear Ben? Because I can't hear Ben. You can't hear me. Okay. You can hear me? Everyone can hear me? Yes. Oh, okay. So you can't hear Ben? Could anyone hear Ben when Ben was here? Was anyone here when Ben was here? Okay. I'm just gonna invite him in again. Maybe it was his headset. Hey, I can hear you now. Yay!
Perfect.
It's not an Instagram live unless there's a tech issue,
Yeah, I feel like that's everything every single time I go live.
right? Oh my gosh, my friend Robin, like the things that happen to her technology wise on Instagram live, it's insane. Amazing. Okay, so I think I've gotten other tech things figured out, like the question thing.
Perfect.
Because apparently you can like pop up questions during live. Have you ever done that?
I
Yeah.
have.
Okay. This is the first time I've done it.
I can't see them on my side, but you can see them.
Okay. Cool. But before we get to questions, I wanted to introduce you first, or did you want to give like a little background on how you got into all of this? Because I know you have quite the story.
Yeah, so I became an influencer on accident. I I came out back in my freshman year of college, and
Mhm.
I'm from a small town, so of course everyone's in everyone's business. So
Yeah.
I got really tired of dealing with everyone asking and having to retell my coming out story.
Yeah.
So I decided that I just wanted to do a quick recording telling everybody, hey, this has been something I've been like dealing with forever. I'm
Yeah.
coming out. And I made a 15-minute long video. At the time, Facebook wouldn't allow you to upload 15-minute long videos.
Oh
So
gosh.
someone suggested it to be put on YouTube.
Mm.
It was nowhere what it is
Yeah.
today when I uploaded it. And I was unaware that it was a public platform.
Oh
So
gosh.
I, I uploaded it for the world instead of just my close friends and family. And it kind of went big. Like back in
Yeah.
2009, there weren't a lot of people coming out on YouTube
No.
like they are now. So I kind of got thrown into the spotlight unknowingly with that. And
Mhm.
I didn't find out until like 2 years later that it was a live like thing for the whole public to
Oh
see.
really?
I'd only checked my Facebook comments like under the link, and everyone
Yeah.
responded so well. And someone was like, "How do you deal with all the hate comments on your video?" I was
Oh
like,
gosh.
"What are you talking about?" And they're like, "Not on Facebook, like on YouTube." So I go over to YouTube, still couldn't log into it because I didn't really create that as a platform I was going to get back on.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it just kind of grew from there. I deleted that channel and started my own, which I wish
Yeah.
I hadn't because it's so hard now with the saturated market on YouTube to grow.
Mm.
But it's definitely the rebrand was nice. I was kind of that was like young me, and now I'm a little bit more mature and my message is a little bit more clear. So I think that it was a good thing. Lost a lot of followers, but I think it was a good thing for sure.
Yeah. See, I hate when people say they lost followers. It's just you made room for the right people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that
So
is true.
for those of you growing your Instagram, like I know one of my friends, they constantly lose people. Like she's like, I gain a couple and then I lose a whole bunch, and then I gain a couple. And like, don't worry about the people you're losing. They're not your people.
Yeah. It's funny though, because when I go to like big YouTube events now, like VidCon playlists and stuff, people recognize me from my first channel and they're like, "Oh, I thought you don't didn't do YouTube anymore." I'm like, "No, I just rebranded, new
Right.
platform." So they're slowly finding me again, the ones that are still curious about me.
That's great. And then now your Instagram is taken off like crazy too, right? Because
Yeah.
are you up to like 30,000?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's insane. So how does it feel to kind of be in the spotlight?
I'm glad that I'm slowly growing and it's not something that just like blew up overnight because I'm growing as a person. I feel
Yeah.
like the type of work that I do in activism,
Mhm.
I'm having to grow a lot
Mhm.
because there's a lot of things going on right now. And when
Yeah.
you call yourself an activist, like I don't call myself just an LGBT activist because for our community, like every single like women's
Mhm.
activism there, we've got women. When it comes to any type of ethnic group,
Mhm.
religion, like we cover them all. So for
Yeah.
me, activism is a constant learning for me. Like I'm always trying to find more ways to help people.
Yeah, exactly. And did you find a lot of things came up for you when you grew? Because like I don't, it was like 2 weeks ago, and I had posted a reel, and it must have ended up on the Instagram Explore page because within a couple hours I had this extra 400 people, and I'm like, I was panicking. I'm like, I'm not ready to grow this fast.
Yeah, I mean, I think with a growing platform comes responsibilities,
Yeah.
but it also opens up like doors that I didn't even think to look at. Like
Mhm.
I've gotten so many opportunities given to me just because I'm doing exactly what I love doing and people
Yeah.
are finding me because of that. It's like an
Yeah.
online resume that I I'm not good at resumes, but apparently my social media speaks well for me.
That's good though. Yeah, I felt like I feel though that it touches on our subject though because I think the reason I wasn't ready to grow that fast is because I'm still working on me, right? I'm like now there's an extra 400 people like looking at my stuff and like I feel like I want to touch on that with you today about the self-love stuff, right? Because we were going to discuss that about what comes up for you when you get put into uncomfortable situations, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, yes, it is. It's an like Instagram's an awesome place to make connections and stuff, but like it's a whole mental thing that you need to work on to be able to even take on those things that are coming up that you might be able to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, just think of like because we're of the generation we were born before we were children before social media existed. Think of like the kids now that are blowing
Yeah.
up and getting large platforms and they're
Yeah.
having to grow and
Yeah.
learn life lessons and be publicly humiliated for making a
Yeah.
mistake, whereas like when we were kids we made mistakes.
Yeah.
And even now as adults when we make mistakes,
Mhm.
like we have an adult mind for like dealing with it.
Yeah.
I feel bad when like I see 15-year-old kids getting like smashed on the internet for doing something stupid. And I'm like, they're 15. They're supposed to do stupid things.
Yeah. Yeah. When else are you supposed to do stupid things? That's why you're a kid.
Exactly. I mean, I wish I did more stupid things when I was younger. You learn.
Yeah. Now we're grown-ups. We have to adult.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm from the era where we had the cell phones where you had to push the button over and over and over again to get the letter. Yeah, that was fun.
Yep. Same here.
The time before smartphone. But like you said, it comes with responsibility being on the internet, and it comes with people are inclined to judge automatically. That's what people do. But I feel like when you're on social media, people judge more because they have more access to people. And like lately, me going into comment sections, I almost don't want to because people are like, there are some really mean people on the internet. like not on my pictures, thank God. Please no one leave and go leave mean comments on my pictures.
I've
But
got a pretty good following now, so
but
none of my people will.
I don't know if it's the virus or whatever, but just people are at each other and I don't know why. Like kindness costs nothing, but at the same time, yeah, you are opening up yourself to that, and I feel like a lot of the reason people get nasty is because of their own crap, their own internal crap, right? Sometimes it's just
100%.
yeah, sometimes they're just an awful person, but usually it's their own internal crap. They're projecting onto you what they believe. So, but when you don't fit their ideals and their norms, that comes up with stuff for them and they project it onto you. Like,
Yeah.
do you do you get a lot of that on your end? Have you experienced like those trolls?
So I will say that I've been experiencing more of it now on the Clubhouse app
Oh,
because Clubhouse doesn't have
mm,
a great way to it doesn't have any like history. So
mm,
every room you enter in, you are a new person to these people unless you've done multiple rooms and people kind
yeah.
of know you.
Mm,
Uh, there have definitely been people where like I'm speaking and I will be cut off by a rude comment, someone trying to silence me from speaking. And I've just kind of learned that just let them have their moment,
mm,
and don't let it impact your response.
yeah,
So like as soon as they're done, I just pick right up where I left off and keep
yeah,
going. Uh, I mean, there are definitely trolls out there, and I call them trolls because I think of them as just people who literally like search hashtags like with the LGBT community. There are a lot of people who literally just search
yeah.
LGBT pages just so
Mm,
that they can write hateful things to LGBT people.
mm,
And I think that those people go out and be mean just because they find humor and joy in that. But there are people, like I tell people all the time, like the LGBT community is a very traumatized community, just
yeah.
like the Black community is very traumatized. And
Mm,
I think that that trauma comes out a lot of times in anger
mm,
because it's in a very emotional state to be in. And when you
mm,
respond in extreme emotions, sometimes it can be taken as aggression or anger or hatred,
mm.
when really it's just pain being verbalized in a way that a lot of people don't understand.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, Ben. Ben is full of wisdom. Ben and I first met on one of KJ's talks on
Yeah.
Clubhouse. Uh, and if you haven't experienced one of Ben's talks in Clubhouse, highly recommend going and checking him out there because, again, he is full of wisdom.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. As Clubhouse is growing, I'm finding myself on there less and less, joining other rooms and just kind of opening my own because I think moderators now have to be a lot more conscious and understand the structure of the purpose of the room,
Yeah,
because some people just open them and let anyone on stage and it becomes a very scary place very quickly.
yeah.
So I only join rooms of people like I know are moderating and I know that they will create a space where everyone can talk and it's a safe space to discuss
Mhm.
whatever is being discussed.
Yeah. There's so like I've been in some rooms where all of a sudden like someone will start like spewing off like vulgar and garbage and just like randomly shouting out stuff and they're like one of those people, you know that meme where it's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? It's like
Yeah.
you make them like, what is wrong? like ugh. Mean people drive okay, so mean people are like they drive me insane. That's like my push button.
Yeah.
I can't just walk by somebody that's mean. I just want to set them straight. And I'm learning that sometimes, no matter what you say, they're just going to remain mean. So that's something that I'm working on. But that comes up a lot too with having kids, right? When your kids get bullied, because you just want to go like, just love it.
Yeah, most definitely.
And then again, it's knowing yourself and knowing who you can help and who you can't. I think. That's
Hmm.
another thing with self-love is boundaries, knowing your boundaries and protecting yourself and knowing when to help and when not. Did you want to touch on some of that?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
when it comes to yourself as a person, like you are your number one priority because you won't be able to help anyone else
Mm,
if you can't protect yourself first. Because I've learned that if I don't heal something in myself first and then I go into a space and
mm,
I'm triggered and then because of the trauma I haven't healed yet, uh, I'm going to do more like bad than good.
mm,
Because someone's going to say something, and instead of me coming from a place of love, I
mm,
will be coming from a place of pain. And
mm,
then if they keep hitting that trigger, I'm going to explode on that person. So it's really important for people to realize that I honestly do believe that if more people focused on self love,
mm.
uh, then the world would be a better place. Because
Yeah.
I think to every aggression that I've heard, people are pointing their finger at how other people need to change.
Mm,
And all these rooms talking about activism are
mm,
talking about what other people need to do, what politicians need to do, what celebrities need to do. And my question always goes to, well, what are you doing?
yeah.
Because I've learned from what I do, because the reason I started my positive talks last
Mm,
year was I just said, what do I want to see more of in the world? And I was
mm,
like, positivity.
yeah.
And then I was like, who inspires me? And I just started reaching out to those people. And I was like, I would love to do a positive talk where we just spread positivity.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people don't realize that you have to start with yourself first.
Hmm.
Like if you aren't doing what you're telling, see, this is my pet peeve. Like I don't like hypocrites.
Yeah.
Like I do not like someone who tells someone else what to do, but they're not doing it themselves.
Yeah.
So I try so hard not to be a hypocrite.
Hmm.
Like if someone calls me out for it, like that's the biggest jab for me. I'm just
Yeah.
like, oh, I failed because I need to get better. If someone can call me a hypocrite.
Yeah. No, yeah, hypocrisy. Yeah, yeah. I'd say that's another one of my pet peeves too. It's like, but you just did job. But like, what I feel like we should touch on some steps though, because we say like you should love yourself and stuff, but I feel like I want to touch on some steps for people on how to even do that, because so many people get lost in like, oh, okay, you're supposed to love yourself. Okay, so you told me I'm supposed to love myself, but how am I supposed to love myself, right? Um, and somebody had asked a question about some books that you recommend reading. So books are one place you could start, right? One of the ones that I don't know if anybody can see this or if it's backwards.
Yeah, it's backwards.
Instagram. Love Yourself Like Your Life Depends on It by Kamal Ravikant. It's a great book if that's a place you could start if you're looking to explore down that path. Um, I know like meditation, self hypnosis have been big for me, exploring past bad habits or inner stories. Because, like, for me, from what I've learned, is everything you have in your life is because of your stories and beliefs, right? The things in your head that have been built in and programmed in, and everything you learn is through repetition. So when you're trying to basically reprogram your brain, because your brain is basically a biological computer, that you have to go into a very relaxed state so that your brain's not fighting against you as you're trying to put these new ideas in. Is that like a pretty good explanation of it? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
most definitely. I think we've got to take control and realize that our life is manifested by every action that we've taken from day one to now.
Yeah.
And it it gives you the power. It also kind of seems overwhelming to some people because maybe they're in a really bad situation and they're like, I didn't ask for this. I'm like, do you want to live in a world where the belief system is that you have no control over it, or do you want to live in a world where you have full control and you can take ownership of it? Because in
Yeah.
that world, you can make the change. If your
Yeah.
current circumstances are not great,
Yeah.
you have the power to change that. And I think
Yeah.
that that's a good mindset to be in.
Yeah. I did. I don't know. Have you heard of Jim Fortin?
I've not.
Okay,
I
so
might.
he a neurolinguistics programming coach, and he's got an amazing mindset program that I took last year. And one of the things that he walks people through is understanding the concept that we have the ability to think thoughts. We are beings with the ability to think, and a lot of times people don't stop to actually think that they can actually think. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm thinking right now that I can actually think thoughts, which is a crazy thing, and that I have the ability to change those things that I'm thinking. So when you can catch yourself going, oh, wait, why am I doing that? Why am I spiraling down this horizontal thinking path of like tunnel vision and come in from a higher level? Then you can pull yourself out of this quicker. Not to say that you're never going to go down that path of horizontal thinking, because I still do, but it's catching yourself faster and pulling yourself out of the things that don't serve you. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Like you have to train your brain. I always say every situation has a positive way of looking at it and a negative way of looking at it.
Yeah.
And if you can train your brain to catch on to that positive more, like it will become more natural. And
Yeah.
when something really bad happens, like your
Mm,
brain, instead of going right to, oh my God, this is the worst thing in the world, you're like,
mm,
you know what? There's some possibilities. Like there's some choices. There's some things I
yeah.
can do. And that's a good place to kind of like exercise your mind into instead of always seeing the negative because
Mm,
there's so much in the world to process. Your brain only picks and chooses. Like, I think they
mm,
said like 10% of what's around you, your brain can like pick and choose.
mm,
Uh, so you want your brain to be thinking of
mm.
possibilities and not failure.
Yeah.
Because if you can only pick and choose so many things, it's
Mm,
going to pick and choose all the negative things if that's where your mindset is. And you can't
yeah.
move into a positive place with that
Yeah.
mindset.
Yeah, another one of my favorite quotes is you are where your attention is. So if you're always on the negative, you're going to be thinking negative. If you focus on the positive, you're going to attract more positive things. And your brain knows what you're going to do 7 seconds before you do it because you programmed it. So that goes back to like how do you program your brain? So self-hypnosis, I know it sounds really scary to people. It's really it's not what it seems to be. Self hypnosis is basically like going into a super relaxed state. You can use like those meditation apps. You can use like the what do they call that music with the the beats? You know what I'm talking about? Like the really relaxing music. Yeah. Um, there is a website. I will post it after this is done. I have to look it up. There's a website where you can buy the self hypnosis course for like I think it's like don't quote me on this, like $20, maybe like 20,
That's not
$20,
bad.
$11 US, where you can teach yourself to do it yourself and you can do it within like 2 minutes. Like you can learn to self hypnosis yourself in 2 minutes and go down into a relaxed state and reprogram in a better habit or a better belief so that you can get somewhere. Another thing that I've heard of is complaint journals. Have you heard of that technique before?
I have not.
So it's one that I learned back when I got into business from James Wedmore. He used to keep a complaint journal to see how many times a day he was complaining. And then when he saw how many times he was complaining, every time he complained, he'd stop and reframe what he was complaining about. So then he would rewrite the complaint into something positive. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, that's something that I do all the time. Like when people ask me how my day is, so I don't know if you know this, but like last week, my company downsized and cut 350 jobs. So one of those jobs was mine.
Oh, God.
So I got in the mindset of like when people were asking me
Yeah.
how I was feeling, I was listening to what I was saying, and I was like, am I responding in a healthy way that's going to promote positivity and growth and movement from this place to a better place? Or am
Yeah.
I like dulling my life down and complaining about it? So I've definitely been aware of like the complaining. Like I think it's healthy to feel the emotions of what you're going through. Like that's important. Like toxic positivity is not what anyone should strive for.
Yeah.
But I definitely realized that there was a lot of things kind of being negatively spun in my mind, and the more I spoke it, the
Yeah.
more it kind of like wound up in my head, and I
Yeah.
realized that I had to unspeak it and change the words to something positive, and it's
Mm.
definitely changed my outlook about what I'm going to be doing here in the near future.
Yeah, exactly. Like Ben was saying, we're not saying don't not feel your emotions. It's just don't get stuck in them, you know? Because when you get stuck in that negativity, it's really hard to pull yourself back out. And like sometimes you can't help it. Like this week, guys, cover your ears if you don't want to hear this, but like PMS emotions, like I was in such a funk. Like I'm like, what is wrong with me this week? And like it's like for some women, it's just hormones that you get stuck in that negativity, and that's something that you can talk to your doctor about, try and level out some of those symptoms. But yeah, sorry guys, had to bring it up.
No, yeah, I grew up with my mom and two sisters, so I'm very well aware of that time of the month when I was like,
Yeah,
okay, it's her time.
you just like sometimes you just can't control it. Like I went from like bawling my eyes out to like over nothing, like why am I crying? Like being like super like pissed off. Like what is wrong with me this week?
That's great.
So like we're not saying don't feel your emotions, is understand sometimes that it could just be hormonal, but don't get stuck in them. Find ways to pull yourself back out and get some positivity in your life. Yeah.
Yeah. I always tell people to realize that every emotion is a positive emotion. Like
Mm-hmm.
emotions are positive. Don't think
Mm-hmm.
negatively because some people like it's not the sadness that is negative, it's the negative thoughts that you attach to sadness. So you can
Yeah.
be sad. Like if someone leaves you, you can be
Yeah.
sad and accept that that emotion is a good emotion for you right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And just find the positives in that because anger
Mm-hmm.
is another emotion that people put negative like words to, but anger is important. If
Yeah.
someone like screws you over or does something horrible to you, it's
Mm-hmm.
okay to be angry. Like that's a normal response. And so many people feel bad about having those types of emotions versus happiness and love. Uh, but all of those emotions are still positive. They're
Mm-hmm.
not negative emotions.
No, no, it's like you need to go through the spectrum of emotions because there's a reason you're angry because it's going against one of your belief systems, right? That's why
Yeah.
you're angry. But don't get stuck holding on to that anger because that's when you don't move forward because you it's like literally you get trapped in this box and you can't see anything else. You get that tunnel vision again. So like work through the anger, work through the sadness, work through whatever's like making you not in a happy state and then move forward. But yeah, don't ignore things because when you ignore things then they get like compressed and bottled up. It's like you like took like a 2 liter bottle and you shook it up.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's gonna be that one unsuspecting person that you expect.
Yeah. I
uh,
think that the most amazing thing that people need to like learn how to do, like I think
yeah,
the first step is to fully acknowledge every emotion and
yeah,
ask yourself why you're feeling that and then
yeah,
ask like keep asking questions until you get to the root because I think that
yeah,
the nice thing about social media for me with all the hate comments,
mm,
some of them hurt worse than others.
yeah,
And I had to ask myself, why does this hurt me? Like, why?
mm,
And a lot of times it's because a part of that is something that I believe about myself.
yeah,
I believe that it's a flaw that I have and that this
mm,
person's pointing it out. And I think we try to hide our flaws. So when the world points them out, we feel
mm,
like we're failing at hiding them. When the truth is, we should expose them.
yeah,
Real, like anytime someone says something that triggers you and hurts you or makes
yeah,
you angry, take note of that and ask yourself why. Even I think it's also really important to like ask yourself why certain moments bring you joy and
mm,
dig down deep to find that root so you can
yeah,
put those roots in tons of different things like
mm,
when I'm with certain friends,
mm,
why do I love being with them? How can
yeah,
I pull that root up and put it in my job and put it in
mm,
other places that that's joy doesn't exist. So
yeah,
I think the more you know yourself and
mm,
really allow yourself to just feel every emotion that comes up and ask yourself why it's there, I think that that
yeah,
helps you like on your journey for sure.
yeah, for sure. Can you see the question on your end?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
What book would I recommend to learn and practice self-love? Oh gosh, there's so many. Um, I wish I could just like pull up my Audible account. I literally have like over 400 books on there. uh, One that really helped me was Maybe It's You,
Okay.
and it it really just kind of took away all the pointing fingers,
Mhm.
and it made me look at, like, I'm choosing this.
Yeah.
I'm choosing the people that I allow to make
Mhm.
me angry, make me, and that book really kind of helped me realize that the people I follow on social media,
Mhm.
some of those profiles made me feel like crap when I scrolled past them. Like, whether it's because my body's not perfect or they get to go on vacation every week and I don't,
Yeah.
like, it really showed me that I have all the power in that.
Mhm.
Um, and it really just, it broke your life down into all different categories,
Mhm.
and it showed you how, like, you might be really strong in one. So like career, uh, I felt like I was on the top of the world there. So like for me, I was like, I've got this. But a lot of other parts of my life were suffering. But I was
Yeah.
so focused on, like, I have a good job. Like, why am
Mhm.
I sad? And it was because all those other things weren't in line. So that book, I would buy the physical copy of it because there's a lot of pages that I was just like highlighting the crap out of. Uh, but yeah, I think that the Maybe It's You, I wish I could remember the, it's on Audible, and it's also like you can buy the hard copy as you want it as well.
I will look it up for people after we get off, and I'll write like the author below too.
Perfect. I'll
Um,
just post a screenshot of it on my story.
cool. The other, where's so there was one I wanted to recommend for people. It's not technically based on self love, but it helps you understand your mind. It's called The Power of Your Subconscious Mind by Joseph Murphy. So, if anyone's looking for a easy to understand book about your brain on how to also reprogram it for better beliefs and better stories, as we call them, check out The Power of Your Subconscious Mind by Joseph Murphy too. And then the other book that I had already recommended was The Love Yourself Like Your Life Depends on It by Kamal Ravikant. So those are three options we gave them, right?
Yeah. And there's also a book called The Biology of Belief.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
I read that one because when I was getting certified as a life coach,
Mm-hmm.
uh, I couldn't just accept, like, the just be happy and everything's perfect. I needed to understand it on a molecular level, and it's actually like your energy, like positive energy versus negative energy, like
Yeah,
it's literally killing your body. Like negative stressed energy kills
yeah.
your body so much faster. Like your body, like the cells can reproduce at such an amazing rate when you're in like a positive headspace. And
Mm,
like you start to age so fast. Like you can see it. Like people who live very stressful lives,
yeah.
like they wrinkle faster, they get gray hair. Um, you can go bald from stress.
Mm.
Uh, I
You can go.
absolutely love that book because like I was just like blown away because like
Yeah,
I mean, there's days when I'm so stressed I feel like I got hit by a bus and I'm like, I need to fix this.
right? Gosh. Our emotions are the greatest gifts we've been given. They guide us and show us if they're on the right path. When we use our intuition, we make better decisions. Oh yeah, for sure. Your gut is there to help you. A lot of the times when you ignore your gut, you wish you hadn't. So totally don't ignore your emotions. Chocolate yoo-hoos help me. Are you referring to my PMS? um, okay, positive people attract other positive people. I think that's it. I think I caught up on comments. Um, do you believe in synchronicities and coincidences when it comes to love?
uh, so I I've definitely learned now that I'm more in tuned with myself
Yeah.
that I can tell when someone's good or bad for me right away. And it
Hmm.
doesn't have to do with what they're saying, what their job is, how they look. It just
Yeah.
has to do with how they make me feel as
Mm,
soon as they start talking.
mm,
And for me,
mm,
I I think I don't believe that people come into your life like for a specific reason. I feel like the energy that you put out brings
mm.
people in.
Okay.
So if you are really, really dedicated to being successful and
Mm,
you really, really want something and you're putting all the hard work into it and you're just like,
uh,
your mindset is like, I'm going to be successful. I'm going to do this. That energy
mm,
will attract all the right people. Like you could be standing in Starbucks getting your coffee, and it's almost like other successful people will just
mm.
start speaking to you.
Yeah.
Whereas relationship wise, I will tell you there is a huge difference about going out to date when you're desperate
Mm,
versus going out to date because you love yourself and you're ready for someone else that loves themselves to be in your life.
yeah.
Because when you're desperately searching for love, you will accept and attract things that are horrible for you
Hmm.
because desperate is not a quality that good people find.
Yeah.
And there have been plenty of people where I'm like, wow, this person's really attractive. I would love to like get to know them. But like our energies are just like bouncing off of each other and I'm just like, I'm sorry, this isn't
Mm.
working.
Yeah. It works the same way with money too. Like, do you ever notice that the people who need money the most don't have any because they're so focused on the lack? So they're attracting more lack. Where people who have lots of money aren't focused on the lack, they're just focused on abundance.
Yeah.
So if you want more money in your life, you want more love, focus on positivity and abundance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Focus on the fact that there are so many different ways to make money.
Mm.
It's unlimited out there. I mean,
Yeah.
if more people could have the mindset of attracting it into their life, there would be more people in the 1%. Like maybe we get to a 2%.
Yeah. That was me. I was just testing out my feature. That's my other name.
That's great.
Like, things works, but it's actually good questions. Do you have any tips for pulling yourself out of self-hate mode?
Yeah, I I do it all the time. Just doing what your brain is telling you you can't do.
Mm.
I think that that is a good mindset and really start. I always tell people to be the most authentic person that they can be so
Mm.
that when other people around you say, You're amazing, I love you actually believe it.
Mm.
Because when you put on a mask and pretend to be someone you're not, and someone says, I love you, or you're struggling trying to get to a goal in life, and they're like, You've got this, I know you're amazing. But if you've put on a mask for the world, no matter how many people believe in you won't believe it because you've lied to them so much that you think, well, if they knew the real me, if they knew how lazy I really was, if they knew this about me, they wouldn't be saying this. And you automatically cut out anything good and you
Yeah.
don't accept any real love or positive inspiration. And
Yeah.
you seek out everyone who agrees with you're worthless, you're lazy, you're not beautiful, and you have to be your most authentic self and
Mm.
then you'll start believing it because people are they see you
Yeah.
they love you for your most authentic self they see it you just don't believe it because
Yeah.
you believe that your mask that you're wearing is actually like really thick and not transparent but people
Yeah.
can see through masks 100% of the time.
Oh yeah. And when you're showing up as not you, it feels icky. Like it feels really icky. Like even if you're not technically lying, even you're compressing a part of you. So
Yeah,
you're only partly, not to say that you have to show everything about your life to everyone. You can keep stuff to yourself, but when you feel like you're compressing a part of you for acceptance from other people, that's what feels icky. Yeah.
yeah,
You shouldn't have to make yourself small to fit in with people. Yeah.
and everyone does that. It's
Mhm.
almost like from the human like humans want to have connection with other people and when
Mhm.
you have things that make you different you feel like that won't help you connect so you
Mhm.
suppress your difference and try to find ways to make yourself blend in with the norm. So
Yeah.
like that's why like a lot of
Mm.
people who are redheads as kids, like a
Yeah.
lot of them, if you ask them, they hate their red hair, they hate their freckles, they hate those parts about themselves because that's what's made them different.
Yeah.
And honestly, when they grow up, the
Hmm.
ones that have learned to love those things about themselves become
Yeah.
some of the most beautiful people
Mm.
because they've had to put up with that pain of kind of going through life hating themselves for being different.
Yeah.
But it's when you embrace that and just like, look, this is me, because
Mm.
unique is good.
Yeah.
We're convinced at too early of an age that that's bad, and I think that we need to find ways to celebrate that for
Mm.
our kids to understand that we all should strive to be different than the people around us.
Yeah. Our differences are what makes us amazing. Yeah. Nobody wants to be a cookie cutter version of everyone else. Come on.
Yeah. I
That's,
mean, when you go through like acting like
yeah.
gigs, when you're auditioning, like if you were exactly the same as everyone else, like that hurts your chances for getting that position. Like
Yeah.
I did a live with my friend, and he was
Mm.
talking about once he really embraced his
Mm.
unique, different features, he knew
Yeah.
exactly what like roles not to audition for because it just
Yeah.
wasn't him. And he
Mhm.
auditioned for roles that he knew his uniqueness was going to stand out, and he just was like blowing it out the water. He was like getting hired left and right, and it's
Yeah.
because he looked for things that
Mm.
his unique features that made him very different would stand out and make him like the star of the show. And I think
Yeah.
that that's important for people to realize.
Yeah. And I think that leads into another topic of people like it's kind of like a bridge. People tend to hide. And one thing that I have learned over the past how long we've been in pandemic?
25 years.
I'm limping now. Yeah, so the thing that I have learned, so I like I've never been afraid to be in the public eye. I'm an extroverted introvert, if that makes sense. Like I like my alone time, but I can swim if you throw me into a room with a whole bunch of people. Okay? But the thing is I always because I've had an eating disorder before. I battled anorexia for like 10 years. Even though I stopped starving myself, the mentality of that stuck with me until I was, I think, about 25, 26. And I always felt like I had to hide that from people and hide a portion of myself and be perfect because like one of the reasons anorexia develops is a control thing in your life, the need to feel perfect and stuff. Um, and because of that, I wasn't fully showing up to people, and I sort of stepped into it, but I kind of always had like one foot out the door of stepping into myself. And I finally put both feet in during this pandemic. And it's insane the difference it makes in the people you attract and what can happen in your life. Like things that I would never think, like that I'd be afraid to even ask somebody, like doing a coffee chat. I'm like, who's going to want to come on and talk to me? Oh, I can't find time. Or like I wanted to do, you'll see it in an upcoming week. I put together a group of ladies to do a project with that we're going to be releasing. Like nobody's going to want to do this with me. I asked. I have 18 ladies that are doing this with me. Like it's just that you get stuck in fear, and it's amazing what happens when you put both feet in. So if anybody's stuck right now in fear, I encourage you to put both feet in and just try it, because the worst thing that's going to happen is that the worst thing's going to happen in your brain. You know what I mean? Like if
Yeah.
the worst thing happen is somebody judges me or somebody says no, then that's the worst thing that's going to happen. And then
Yeah.
you move on. Yeah.
I mean, when it comes to like mental health and a lot of the issues that we all struggle with in this life, those types of things
Mm,
make us feel like we are alone. They make us feel like
mm,
we're I'm dealing with this all by myself, and it's crazy.
mm,
Like I always told people that me being vulnerable on the internet and sharing really personal things like
Yeah.
really freed me from those things because I was dealing with it by myself and I felt like I was the only one and no one would understand.
Mm.
And one of my
Mm.
most, like, my number one YouTube video on my channel is
Yeah.
my most vulnerable moment of my entire life. And it literally evaporated all the pain that I had because
Mm.
of that. Because everyone was connecting, everyone was telling me their experiences, that I wasn't alone. They gave me advice on how to heal. Um, it was just an amazing thing. And it was scary. It sat edited on my computer for probably 3 months before I finally hit post
Yeah.
because I was scared of the response.
Hmm.
And there have been some negative comments, but I've honestly had more love than I've had hate on that one, and it was a beautiful thing for sure to share that moment with people.
Yeah. I find even though there's a lot more mean people during this pandemic, I feel like there's a lot more people starting to understand the importance of mental health and a lot more people starting to support more people. So I, I hope the good's still outweighing the bad. But
I,
again, like no matter where you go, you're gonna get those people that are gonna leave those comments. And I find
yeah,
that the best thing to do is block, delete, and not let them get to you.
yeah.
Mm.
I think that the most important thing, which is why the pandemic, I think, has created this feeling that everyone's becoming horrible people, is
Yeah.
because it's so easy to look at hateful comments on posts and just feel like that represents a lot of people.
Mm.
But one, it's a person that doesn't know anything about you, more
Mm.
likely. And two, like
Mm.
a lot of times it's just people are drawn to drama online. So the things that get shared, the things that get posted, it's
Mm.
all about like personal opinions and they're not
Mm.
specifically thinking about you. Sometimes they might attack me as a white male because a white male is like somehow oppressing them in another way. And
Yeah.
me speaking is offending them. They don't
Mm.
know who I am. They don't know what I do on a daily basis. And I honestly,
Mm.
once this pandemic kind of started slowing down where I live, and I started going back out to the grocery stores,
Mm.
I started hiking again. What I did was just find every beautiful moment around you. Like, watch the mom, like, making her baby laugh in the grocery store.
Mm.
Watch, like, the, like, grocery store guy working help an old woman get something from the top shelf. Like
Mm.
those moments are so beautiful. And
Yeah.
like we have to remember that that's not being posted on social media. People aren't sharing that, but that's a beautiful moment. And they're happening all around us. I will
Mm.
honestly say, like, where I'm sitting, like, there's
Mm.
probably so many beautiful things happening,
Mm.
but a lot of times we really focus on the bad things. Like here in Charlottesville, Virginia, we had that rally that happened,
Mm.
and people were so focused on the news about the hateful people that came to our city. But what
Mm.
they didn't show was the churches that were
Mm.
coming and giving water bottles, the doctors and nurses that weren't at the hospital that were there helping
Yeah.
people from heat exhaustion, helping people that were like getting roughed around. Like there are
Mm.
so many beautiful things happening, and social media and the media in general don't focus on that. And I think that it's really important to realize, like, find some
Yeah.
beautiful things. Because even if you are, I think that labels too, like this last year was very political.
Mm.
I would say the last 4 years were very political here in the US. But I would say look past that label and
Mm.
find the good in someone because I've I work with so many people who voted differently than I do, but
Yeah.
I know about their family. I know that they're a good mother, a good father, a good sibling.
Mm.
Like, look at those types of things and find the good in people, because a lot of times we create monsters where there isn't one.
Mm.
And also, when you look past the labels or the anger or the hateful posts, you'll see
Yeah.
someone that's really traumatized and really hurting that needs you to see past those types of things.
Yeah, for sure. And there are like if you need a pick me up, there are a couple social media pages that do focus on just good news. I don't know if you follow like Tank's Good News.
Mm-mm.
No, there's like the good news movement. They only post
I,
good news.
I think he
Yeah,
got a book out.
yeah,
I feel like I've seen a book that said something like that.
yeah. I love their pages because they're always posting like they only post good news, and it's such the pick me up from the constant like drama and complaining and all this horrible stuff that you see. To have those pages that are just focused on showing you what you're just saying, the things that you don't usually see. Yeah,
Yeah. I
yeah,
mean, I've unfollowed tons of people last year just because their stories and everything just instantly just made me angry at the world.
yeah,
And I don't believe in ignoring issues that need to be looked at and fixed, but
yeah.
some people's posts weren't looking at it for a way
Mhm.
to fix it. They were looking at it to just stir anger, and I had
Yeah,
to remove those types of things.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, remove things that don't serve you. Yeah. Um, I want to ask you one question that I ask everyone before I forget.
Okay. Go for it.
I'm doing this question because I find it so interesting to answer. What's your best advice for your younger self?
Oh boy. I actually wanted to do a YouTube video about this, like a letter to my younger self.
Yeah.
Uh, I would tell my younger self, like, be 100% yourself right now. Stop trying to blend in with the world when you were born to be different,
Hmm.
because you're wasting so much of your precious time. Um, because now that I'm older, I've reconnected with a lot of people from my childhood, and they were hurting as well. And my younger self looked at them and was like, I wish I had their life.
Yeah.
And now that we're adults and have had conversations, like they were doing the same thing to me. Like they're like, wow, he's so lucky to have two sisters that he can hang out with all the time. And as a kid, I was like, oh, I have no friends and I always have to hang out with my two sisters. But I mean, just be your most authentic self. Because
Mm.
like I have so many videos from when I was little on my computer of me being exactly what I am right now. I was just too scared to share it with the world. Like I did acting skits and
Mhm.
just saved it on my computer. I did goofy dancing and videos with my sisters. And going back, I was just like, I've always been this way. Like I didn't just become an influencer or just become a entertainment person. Like I've always been entertaining. And if I had just learned that at a younger age, like
Yeah.
it would have been nice not to struggle so much and believe so many hateful things that people have said about me.
Yeah. That's great advice. Everybody, please take that advice right now because time is a non renewable resource. And if you're remaining small or you're stuck inside or you're compressing a part of you, then you are not attracting what you could be fully attracting and you're going to be miserable. That's the long and short of it because you're not going to feel, you're always going to feel like there's a piece of the puzzle missing when you're compressing yourself. As
Yeah,
he was saying, that what's the worst thing that could happen if you show up as yourself? And keep in mind that there are always people that are going to judge you. You are never not going to be judged.
yeah.
It's just people do.
Just do what you love and be hated for that, and be happy that you're doing what you love. Because if you end up doing everything because other people tell you that's what you should be doing, you're going to
Yeah.
be doing something that drains you, and then you're still going to be hated for it.
Do what you love because life is short and you only get
100%.
that. Hi, Iris. How are you? I know there's been, I'm not ignoring you people. I see your comments coming up. I just don't want to interrupt Ben. uh,
Interrupt me.
on Friday, I had to come out to my dad, and that wasn't fun. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. That wasn't fun. But that's good that you did that, right? That's step one. Is
Yeah.
for
Build
Ben could.
build your own community, and be your most authentic self, and the right people will be there. Like I love someone said this in a clubhouse room, and I've just repeated it so many different things. Like your vibe creates your tribe, and
Mm,
when you find ways to be your most authentic self,
mm,
um, when it comes, I see the comments where it says, "Do you have any advice?" He basically disowned me, and unfortunately, that is a story that a lot of LGBT people face when coming out. And that's why a lot of people are scared to come out. But I always say walk away from it with the fact that society has brainwashed the world on what is acceptable, what is normal, what is allowed, and realize
mm,
that that's probably your dad right now. Your dad is brainwashed to the fact that it is perfectly okay to be exactly who you are. And I will say, go find self love, go heal yourself, go find people that love you, create a family that just makes you a light in the world, and then go back and revisit the relationship with your dad. Uh, I mean, I've gotten to a point, my dad also did not accept me when I came out.
mm,
And I got to a point where I had so much self love for myself. Like, I loved myself for being gay. I loved myself for being a Christian. I loved myself for my career path that I chose.
mm,
And now, when I talk to my dad, those words don't hurt. And I can respond in a way that's not a trigger or me fighting back. It's
mm.
just, Dad, like, I'm sorry that you are having problem understanding this, but this is who I am, and
Mm.
I am loved for exactly who I am by many, many people in this world. If you aren't ready to be one of those people, uh, just know that I love you, and I will be here when you are ready, but I will not keep you here in my life if you're going to be a person that tries to make me feel bad about being my most authentic self.
If your dad's probably responding in a way to of a lot of times people respond that way because they don't understand, right? So when people are afraid of something that they don't understand, they can respond in a negative way. So if you just came out to your dad, I would give it some time because maybe he just needs to process it. And I can't fully speak on this because I don't come from a place of knowing that. But that's another perspective is I know when people don't understand something or they're afraid of something because they don't understand it that they can respond negatively, and sometimes if you give them time they can come around.
And reach out to the older generations. We're, I mean, we've all come through that stage where we had to come out. And I always say that when it comes to children, they should not have to educate their parents on what LGBT is because they're learning what LGBT is. I
Yeah.
think that there are LGBT centers everywhere. There are resources, there are counselors, there are people everywhere that can be there for your dad to educate him so that your experience is better. Um, don't waste your energy trying to educate him. Find resources for him to try to educate himself. And I always say that YouTube videos and stuff like that are easier because people don't pick up books and read if they aren't passionate about learning it. But movies and videos can be really helpful.
Yeah, for sure. But again, Ben can probably touch on this more than I can because I don't come from a place of experiencing this myself. Um, but all I can say is that I'm sorry that's happening to you, and I wish more people were accepting. Like I know if one of my kids came and told me that, I'd still fully 100% love them. They would still be my child. So I don't understand. I can't understand from a parent's perspective why that happens, and that hurts me. But I, all I can tell you is I hope he comes around, and if he doesn't, there are so many people that will love you. Um, don't just. I know it hurts, but don't feel like you got disowned because there are so many people that still love you. You're not disowned. You're just going through like a period in your life. Um, we can't bring you up, unfortunately, to talk because we're almost actually done. We've actually been talking for an hour. Holy crap. But I'm sure Ben would be okay with you reaching out privately, right? Yeah,
Most
okay.
definitely.
Yeah, I live in a group home and my dad's my legal guardian, so I can't even go shopping without his permission. I'm so sorry to hear that. Please reach out to Ben privately. I'm sure he could direct you to some additional resources that could help you.
100%. Definitely.
Yeah. Okay, is there any other questions before I let Mr. Ben Drummond go? Such a there's so much information in this talk. Like I feel like I may even need to rewatch this one.
It's so funny because so many people, like when I lost my job last week, I've had
Yeah.
so many people sending me Michael, who just popped up. He is one of them who he literally today sent me screenshots of
Yeah.
advice that I put underneath my pictures. And my friend Garland told me
Mm.
about something I said in one of my lives. And Garland was just like, well, a wise person once said. I'm like, oh gosh, I need to watch my own stuff.
Nice. That's awesome though. I promise I'm behind on getting through my coffee chats for show notes, but I will be doing show notes for all my coffee chats so that you can skip to certain parts if you're looking for a specific topic that Ben and I went through. So check back. I'm hopefully getting around to them this week or next week. So check back at end of next week and there should be show notes. But if you feel like going ahead before that and watching it, go ahead.
Exactly.
Just wanted to tell you you're both awesome and thank you. Oh, no problem. Thank you for being here. We really appreciate you watching. And again, I'm so sorry to hear about your situation, but hopefully Ben can direct you to some resources where at least you feel like you're not um, out in the water by yourself. So,
Yeah.
all right. Well, thank you so much, Ben, for joining me.
Yeah.
We're starting a you're starting coaching, right? Did I see that right on your stories? Okay,
Yeah.
so you want to give people a little rundown before I let you go about how they can find you and how they can work with you?
Yeah, so right now I'm actually building some seminars that I'm going to be doing with a couple other coaches that I have fallen in love with their work and what they're doing. But
Mhm.
we are going to be creating some seminars that you guys can join because I've learned that there's so many people out there that want to work with me, and I want to be able to create a space where people can it's a lot more affordable for a seminar to run, and it's a lot easier for me to touch a lot more people in that way.
Mhm.
So I'm working on creating three different types of seminars right now.
Yeah.
So one's going to be about self-love.
Mhm.
So that's going to be a huge one for me because that's where my passion is for sure. Then it's going to be LGBT. You can do anything. It's kind of built around. There are so many different things that society has taught LGBT people that needs to be untaught. So
Yeah.
we can actually realize that we are just as capable as everyone else in the world. And
Yeah.
then just the third one would be career oriented for people who I will not coach someone who wants
Mhm.
me to force them to be a doctor or lawyer because that's what their parents said they need to be.
Yeah.
I'm all about digging down deep, finding what you are most passionate about because
Mhm.
life gets hard no matter what career you choose. You might as well pick one that lights you up every single day you do it. So those are my three areas that I'm focusing on right now. I got certified to be LGBT coach, so I focus on that. But I mean, I'm one of those people that I just want to help anyone that wants to work with me. I think that my vibes will attract my tribe, so I'm excited to see how many people I get to work with. But definitely looking forward to it. That's what I'm working on now to switch from my current leadership training job to full time life coach. So I'm excited to see where this takes me.
That's amazing. And for updates on that, they can follow you over on Instagram, right?
Yep,
Okay.
working on a website right now. So that will be like in
Yeah.
my Instagram like link tree there, so people can find that. But all my social media platforms, I'll keep people posted for sure.
That's amazing. Okay, so everybody, if you're not following Ben yet, go follow Ben. And feel free to rewatch this if you want to, because there were so many gold nuggets in this. The replay will be posted pretty much as soon as we're done here. Instagram's pretty quick about that. and we will see you in future chats. And in the meantime, you can always catch. I have another coffee chat coming up on Thursday, and Ben, you host IG Lives. Is it once a week or twice a week?
So I was doing them every single weekday for a while. Uh, I just try to work with people's schedules. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I just did my 70th episode
Cool.
yesterday. So there's tons to look at. I always tell people like, don't just look forward to like the future ones. Like the gold is still there in all the other ones that I've got posted under my IGTV tab.
That's awesome. Yeah, so go follow Ben and you can catch him more over on his page. And then make sure to tune in Thursday with Johnny, who played my husband on the Vampire series.
Perfect.
Oh, Michael says go Jen go. Michael is also in the Vampire series. Hi, Mike. Okay, well, fun. We will all talk to you soon. Have a great night, Ben.
Yep, you too.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.